Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another patch breakdown. My name is Benvarmeren and I'm, and today we'll have a look at patch 8.14. This is the first time that I get a chance to look at the patch notes after Riot they changed them and categorized them into champions, symbol buffs and symbol nerfs. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this will make it easier for us to go through these changes and to see what has been changed here in patch 8.14. I've heard a little bit about them changing teleport, which I'm very much looking forward to seeing how they've done so. And hopefully we'll also see some AD carry buffs. So let's have a look. Jumping in, Aatrox is the first one. Base health decreased, Q base damage decreased, E recharge rate decreased, early increased later, R bonus attack damage increased, Q timer freezes while reviving. Now on full Spanish style. Okay, so I'm actually first of all, I'm happy about this one because I felt like the new Aatrox didn't feel like the old Aatrox that much because of him not having the wings anymore, so I'm happy about that. So looking at these changes, what I'm very much a fan of to begin with is the Q and the base stats, because I feel like his Q is just super strong. I think that you definitely needed to tone that down in terms of the base damage because it's just so spammable. You don't have mana, you don't have energy, you have no resources to work with as an Aatrox. So having the ability to spam that ability is just stupid in my opinion, especially when it had such high base stats, and because of the scaliness it also has to work with. And then on top of that, he was also fatly tanky, so taking away 30 of his health early on does mean a great deal to him. Then we also have to consider the fact that of course he has been buffed at level 6 because of him now having his bonus attack damage going from 20 total attack damage to 20, 22.5 and 25 total attack damage. So it feels like he's still very strong at the level 6 mark, but at least now his lane is more forgiving towards his opponent, meaning that you can have an easier time actually fighting against this guy because of him not having as much health but not being able to deal as much damage as well. Fizz. W no longer deals bonus damage against prime targets. W base damage increased. W now grants on-hit damage if empowered attack does not kill its target. So, looking at the changes, it's a lot of damage that has been given to the ability in itself on empowered attack damage. So I've always been a fan of the farming abilities, the farming aspect of his W. I kind of feel like now that has been changed in terms of the interaction between them. I think you still get cooldown resets in 1 second if you kill it, yeah. But it just feels weird to me to not have that target to work with anymore. But I can understand why. It felt like it was a problematic. It had a problematic interaction once you came out and had like 2-3 items as a fish, just because you were able to deal so much damage to whoever you were attacking. So I do agree with it having to be changed. It just feels bad because I liked having that interaction where you had to wait a little bit. It felt like you'd actually be an assassin then, would have to wait out their best moment to actually strike. I don't think it'll butcher him in completely. I do think that it'll tone him down a little bit in terms of how strong he is on solo targets. But he's not a big pick anyways in the current meta. He's not that strong early on, and he doesn't push very well in the mid lane, which is exactly what you want for a mid laner in the current meta. You want someone who can push early on, and someone who can also at least be able to fight and support your jungler in those first 5-8 minutes, and that's not what Fizz can do. But I don't think it'll make a huge difference to him. Jinx base health increased, growth decreased. That's a lot of health. I'm wondering why it's only Jinx that's getting this buff, because a lot of AD carries got nerfed. And maybe it'll turn up in the simple buffs. But still, I think that you should buff a lot of AD carries and give them more health. I think it's okay to just take away like 4 health from this. It's not like it's making a big difference. It's okay. Like it's all that matters is that you get you get like 50 more health right here, right? 50 more health. So I think that's a great buff for Jinx, and it'll definitely help her. I don't think it'll push her up in priority, because you still want someone who can push in the bottom side, and that's not exactly Jinx early on. Karma, base mana regen increased, growth decreased, base armor increased, Q splash radius increased, empowered detonation damage decreased at earlier ranks. So I agree with the soul flare detonation damage. It has definitely been a too strong of an ability to push early on, meaning that she's always been able to just shove the lane very easily. So I think that is great to see them tone that down. Now with that being said, it's 15 damage, so it really isn't that big of a deal. And considering that you get 3 more mana per 5 seconds, you're going to be able to spam this so much more, and you're going to be able to shove quite more because the splash radius also being increased. I think this will help her a little bit more. And they are saying that they're focusing on support karma. This feels like it's something that'll strengthen the mid lane karma. We'll have to wait and see, of course, but I do think that this could mean that at least funnel comms would become just a tiny bit stronger. Siren, Q base damage and damage ratio increase at later ranks. So no changes really, except for towards the later levels. Yeah, that's fine, I guess. Didn't seem being a problem at all. And this I agree with, of course. AD carries need more health. Mid patch 8.14 updates. Okay, so Aatrox has been updated. Caitlyn got more damage on her headshot. Tristana got more attack speed. Varus got more damage on his Q and on hit damage on his W. And W stack pop damage. I'm very happy that they're buffing the AD carries, because they feel very underwhelming to play right now. So I'm happy that they're buffing up the AD carries, making sure that they at least can stand a chance some of these traditional AD carries. Especially the Varus and the Tristana. I think these picks could fit perfectly into the current meta if you just gave them a few buffs, because they can push very easily in the bottom side. The problem for Tristana is that her build path is very expensive. You need the Storm Racers into a seal item into an Infinity Edge, and then you pretty much have your core items, because you can't rush a Beer Sword into a seal into an Infinity Edge anymore. And for Varus, at least his build path is much more forgiving, that way you can either go for the Ginsus into the Rune's Hurricane into a Beer Sword, or you go for a Beer Sword, a Blade Ruin King, or you go for Blade Ruin King into Ginsu's. So that's much more forgiving, and I think that buffing him at least gives him some more power to work with. And Nocturne obviously is very strong. I don't think you need to nerf him. I think there's some clear counters to him, so I don't completely agree with these changes. But of course, it's from the last patch, and he still hasn't fallen down in terms of priority. I do agree with this, however. I don't think that this was a big problem. I do think that her passive was a big problem, because you being able to run around the map so fast is a big problem, because she is able to just affect the whole map without too much trouble, because she can just run from one end of the map to the other end of the map really fast, because she's a jungler now. She has a lot of movement speed. Her passive works well in the jungle too, because you just need to be close to walls. Ari, E mana cost decreased, E charm duration increased early on. I'd love to see Ari make a comeback, so I do like these changes. Let me see, how many are there? Oh, damn, there's a lot here. Alright, I'd love to see Ari come back, just feel good change. Q base damage increased late, Q damage increased. Like these changes too, she's supposed to be late game, so this is good for her. And she did feel a little bit overwhelming in the early game too. Not that she has been nerfed, just now she has a little bit more damage towards the late game, where I did feel like she sometimes fell off, just because of her primarily being single target focused. E base damage and resistance reduction per stack increased. Yeah, we don't see him very often as well. Could work well in the current meta too, just because of him being able to roam so efficiently. Base health, sure. Passive lifesteal increased early. Yeah, don't see Nasus being played as a lot too. Bonus attack speed at level 1 added, W base damage increased. Yeah. Like, he's not supposed to be, or well, I guess he is supposed to be an attack damage type of carry in the top lane. So I can see why you would want to add some attack speed. He's just very reliant on his abilities, so I think that it's a good chance to give him some more fighting power against some of the strong top laners. And I do hope that he'll make a comeback. I don't think that this will be what pushes him over the edge though. Q and R damage ratios increased. Rek'Sai is a little bit too slow in terms of clearing the jungle. That's why you don't see her very often in the current meta. And she doesn't have a lot of kill pressure either. You want someone who can gank very easily, but also clear the jungle very fast. And that's the Gragas of the Sejuani, not Rek'Sai very early on. Rek'Sai has a lot of kill pressure once she hits level 6. Whereas the others, they bring that kill pressure every time they gank, because they have crowd control in their kit. Whereas Rek'Sai only has a knock up, and she has to flash to get that knock up. But will help her clear speed a little bit, and maybe give her a little bit of an edge in competitive play. Q cooldown decreased. Please keep on buffing my AD carries. Q damage ratio increased. Wayne W damage increased late. So Wayne has also been a fun pick to look out for, because she hasn't been played a lot, even though Stormracer has been introduced. And you should think that Stormracer would be an item that a Wayne would love to get, considering that it brings attack speed, you get critical chance, you get a lot of attack damage too. It feels like a very good item for a Wayne to get. Doesn't exactly work well with her W, but at least it gives her the stats that she would love to, and then you could go for a bit of a slower build path where you get the Storm Racers into Blade Ruin King or Ginsu's. So I think those items could work well. And this does help a little bit towards the late game if you're going up against the likes of a Mundo or an Orin or a Mao kind of subside. Base attack speed increased, or cooldown decreased. Good changes to why. We haven't seen her in play really, and she needs to have some buffs in terms of her pushing power, but also her ganking power, and this is exactly what gives her that help. Not that it'll change a lot for her, I think, but at least it'll give her a little bit more power to work with. And Victor W cast rate range increased. Okay, Mundo Q health refund decreased. So Mundo has been very strong in terms of the top side because he's always been problematic in terms of him being able to both poke, being able to fight, refund health. So I like the fact that they're changing his health refund. Not that it is a big change, 40 and 50. Early on it doesn't make that much of a difference, but at least it's something that tones him down just a little bit. Rakan, Q cooldown increased late, R cooldown increased. So increased late, and then R cooldown increased. I agree with R. I think that Rakan should not be able to spam it as much as he has been. And I think that it's good to change him a little bit. It's only 10 seconds, but there's still quite a lot in terms of competitive play. I think the Q is stronger in lanes. I don't see it having to be nerfed. I don't see it having to be nerfed later on. I don't see it being that much of a problem towards late game team fights. Sejuani R stun duration decreased. Sejuani has been rising in popularity. And it is primarily because of her clear speed and her glacial prison. So I think that taking down some of her max stun duration is definitely smart. And right here, I think that for her to be nerfed in this way would put her down in priority just a little bit. Not necessarily take away all the priority on her, but make it so that people have a clear weakness seeing this when they go into the game. So that they actually have to have like a cost benefit in their head. Q's blow speed decreased too early, or explosive damage ratio increased. I don't think this is the biggest problem. I think his pushing power is much stronger, but I can see why you want to tone it down just a little bit, the explosion damage, because it is definitely something that helps him a lot if he's able to land a good explosive damage. And it should be more about items and not about the ratio for him, at least, because he's more late game in my head at least. Our W return damage decreased late. Wukong E's base damage decreased late. W base damage decreased late. W ratio increased. That's a spell thief. That's a huge change, actually. Holy hell, that's a very huge change. She's very good at dealing a lot of damage with her W when you get close to her. Did it have too much damage? I don't think so. I like the incentive to have an ability that can put down a lot of damage, especially towards the late game when you have to get up close as a Zoe, because you don't want to be up close unless you've landed a sleepy bubble trouble. So trouble bubble. So I like in some senses that you're nerfing her because she shouldn't be up close, but I like having the incentive to be up close. Jungle items. If you have the most individual total gold on your team, lane minions kills grant less gold. This penalty is removed upon completion of an enchantment on a skirmisher saber or stalker's blade. Okay, so this is a way to try and tone down the funnel comps just a little bit. I think I like the fact that you try and like find an answer to funnel comps. Let's put it that way. I think this is not a very delicate way of doing it. Because in some senses, I'd rather see the item being hit than support being hit. But I think that I think that for jungler this will suck, because if you are an actual jungler, if you're far ahead, if you've gotten a lot of kills early on, well then suddenly you're being punished if you go into a lane and you want to tag, or if you want to help push. Now you're being punished until you get your enchantment. It'll slow down funnel comps. That's what they're aiming for. I just don't think this is a very good way of doing it, because it just means that for a regular jungler, you will be punished. And this is a bloody good change. I don't like the fact that seal costs so much, that the brawler's gloves cost so much as well. I don't like that. Now we're at summoner spells. This is the teleport that I was talking about. Okay, base cooldown 300 seconds to 360 seconds. 300 seconds being 5 minutes and 360 seconds being 6 minutes. Cancel the cooldown to 200 seconds to 240 seconds. And I think let me do a real quick one. Alright, so 240 seconds, that is 4 minutes. Okay, so that makes sense. Alright, so 4 minutes. When you cancel your teleport, that's 4 minutes instead of it being 3 minutes and 20 seconds. I agree with teleport being a big problem. I like teleport in itself. I like the fact that it encourages team play, and it means that the top laners can have an impact in the game. I don't like it when you have the bottom lane taking teleport, when you have both your support and your AD carry taking teleport. That's not what I like. I think they should be focused on late game summoner spells. They should be focused on team fighting. They should not be focused on having to try and impact multiple lanes early on in the game. It just feels weird now that everyone will get punished by the bottom laner just taking teleport, because I'd much rather see just top laners, the teleport being only top laners only. And now this means that Ignite will become a viable choice in the top lane again, which will hurt the top laners and their impact on the game. We'll have to wait and see, of course. I could be overstating this, but it feels like TP isn't bad, but isn't the strongest or necessarily the only choice you'll want in the top side, or sometimes in the mid lane too. Conqueror, runes we are at. Conqueror, bonus attack damage decreased. I agree with that. A lot of champions have been abusing Conqueror. I think that it's great that you have multiple keystones, and every keystone should be viable. So tone it down just a little bit. It hasn't been toned down a lot. It's 480, and that's nothing to talk about really. Ghost Power now requires an active placement. After 1 second in brush, your current trigger becomes a Ghost Power, which may be used to place a Ghost Power. So does Ghost Power actually work in the Summoner's Rift? Because I've never seen it being used on anything but on Howling Abyss. So I always thought on modes where war to disable zombie, okay, so Ghost Power is actually something you can go for. Okay, so it's basically just a ward. It's a choice you can go for instead of the zombie ward. Okay. I've never seen, and I don't think I've ever seen the Ghost Power being used on Summoner's Rift, to be honest. But yeah, let's have a look at it. Okay, after 1 second in brush, your current trigger becomes Ghost Power item, which may be used to place Ghost Power. Like that you have to then take an active choice in where you want to place your Ghost Power. While either you or your ghost power is anywhere in your enemy territory past the river, gain 5 to 20 based on level, ability power, 3 to 12 bonus attack damage adaptive. Like that, I think that it should have a big incentive to being used, and having more damage definitely does this. This means that now, let's say, an analyse or a Graves might figure out a way to use this ghost power, because it gives them damage and it also gives them the vision that they want to have. Zombie ward. Damaging zombie wards no longer spawn from friendly wards which time out. Damaging a champion after destroying a ward inflicts bonus damage. Damaging a champion after destroying a ward inflicts 30 to 90 bonus magic damage. Zombie wards now only spawn from any wards killed, not friendly wards which time out. I think that it should be only enemy wards killed. Like, it doesn't make sense to have unlimited vision, quote unquote, because of your own wards being timed out. I think they should be from whenever you kill a ward. I want to see how this works. However, is it immediately after, or is it like in a 2-minute, 3-minute period? Because if it has like a run time period, it could be good for some of the pick junglers too. Hell, it could even be good for Isagiani or Gragas, because they'll want to have vision control, and if they suddenly have more damage to work with, then their gangs become stronger as well. Like to change these two. I'll have to have an eye out for which junglers use them. Curse updates, yeah, not interested. Champ select. Okay, I think that's it, guys. Well, thank you all for watching. I hope you became smarter in this patch breakdown for 8.14. Definitely a smart patch. I like a lot of the changes right here. I still think that 80 carries will be underwhelming. I think we'll still see the same tempo of the game, where it's all about having the tempo, having control of the map. I don't think this will change quite a lot, but it's a step in the right direction. However, with that being said, find me on social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and on Instagram you can see what I'm doing behind the scenes. So do remember to go follow me there. Also leave a like. Please subscribe to the channel too if you want to. I would love to have more people watch my videos. And with that being said, well, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.